down his pants. The student attends Alexander Graham Middle School, where Sims previously worked. Sims' employment was terminated in June for unknown reasons.
Sidewalks finally on their way to Fort Mill, and while some parents see this as a major win, others raising red flags. The county voted for 5 feet wide sidewalks instead of the recommended 8 near schools. The sidewalks will be directly against the road with no grass buffer between pedestrians and cars. The county looking to have the speed limit raised from 45 to 55.
French fry fanatics, listen up. Next time you're out to eat, you may want to think twice before packing fries as your side. A new study found a link between French fry eating and type 2 diabetes. Researchers found people who ate fries 3 times a week were 20% more likely to develop the chronic condition, but other potato styles like baked or mashed didn't show the same risk. Type 2 diabetes affects about 1 in 10 Americans and can increase the risk of heart attack and stroke.
All right, if you're heading out the door this morning, waking those kids up, getting them off to school, maybe you're heading off to work. Still a little bit of rain, but it seems like a lot of it is tapering off. Still just this that I'm following. 1 stalled vehicle. Besides that, we don't have any active accidents. This right here, lane is blocked because of a stalled vehicle on 7th Street and Pecan Ave. Otherwise, starting to just see our typical backups right along Independence and I-85, but I-77 isn't looking too bad for a Friday morning commute. Chris?
Okay, let's try this again. The sun will come out. It is just not looking like it for the near term. But then once you get to the afternoon, you are going to see a brighter sky. Patience, my friends. It happens today. It'll happen again tomorrow. Lower to the mid-80s. Much better chance for rain on Sunday.
A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus, game day here in Charlotte. We're going to preview the Panthers' preseason opener against the Browns. Plus, challenging summer for businesses in Uptown and wild weather across the country. We'll see you at 7 a.m. over on WCNC Plus. Happy Friday, folks. Streaming live right now at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Megan Bragg. Lisa Washington has the day off. A live look over the city this morning. We've been saying this all morning, Ben. I know. I'm just like, I can't. Don't worry, though. It's not going to last that long.
I mean, this is like unheard of in August. Like this is usually suns ablazing. We can't handle living here kind of weather.
Quit laughing at my current conditions. This is what we have. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm transparent. I'm always going to be honest with you, at least as much as I can, because sometimes, like yesterday, I was going to say, hey, the wedge that we're under, it's going to break. It should be drier by tomorrow. No, it decided to have one last hurrah, so that's why we've had some morning rain so far. But you can already tell that things are starting to dry out a little bit. And we've been looking at different levels. There's a much better chance that we're going to erode that low deck of clouds later on this morning, heading into the afternoon. So today is the day that we finally see a little bit more of that blue sky return. Also, you can see here on Doppler radar, just over the last hour alone, that we've had a heavier downpour turn into more of a moderate one. The lighter showers starting to fade out. So we're still going to have some mist and some drizzle and some light rain on and off for the next couple of hours, but then things really take a big step back by the end of the morning. This is all part of the wedge, cold air damming. What happens is you have a high pressure system filtering winds out of the northeast. Meanwhile, you have moisture that's blasting in from the south. So you have cool air that pools in. You have moisture that blasts into this. So if you have warm, moist air that hits a colder, drier air, that's classic cloud making. Think about when you're taking a shower, how things steam up on the window or a mirror in general. That's the same thing that's happening right here. This wedge sometimes is really tough to break. You need a bigger system move in, or you need the high pressure system to get out of here. And eventually it is going to push its way further off towards the west. We see that push over to Tennessee, even fade out. That's going to finally break down our pattern. Still dreary, cloudy. Whenever you have a deck of low-hanging precipitation or fog in general, it takes a while for it to burn off. But I think that we have a good amount of optimism that we will see some afternoon sunshine, mix of clouds, so you could still be a mostly cloudy sky here and there, but at least it does get a little bit drier. Meanwhile, we have a system further down towards the south and east that could try to become a tropical system. More on that coming out. Our futurecast showing that by about 10 o'clock, we're already starting to break things down. I think that you really start to see a lot more sunshine by about mid to late afternoon, but some of us will see it a little bit earlier, or at least a brighter overcast sky. Any chance for a shower and or thunderstorm? I think thunderstorms are highly unlikely today, but a brief heavier downpour or rainstorm is possible really up until about 3. After that, it's just spotty to dry conditions. Temperatures zooming up to the upper 70s, as well as warm air is reintroduced back to the region. 80 degrees today. Haven't been there since Monday, and then we're even trying to warm up through the lower to the mid 80s this coming weekend. Winds still out of the northeast, but then we really start to shift the winds heading into your Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's the better day, plain and simple. Sunday, widespread rain is going to be a possibility by the afternoon, so that's one of the big changes there. It was looking more of a Sunday night to Sunday early or Monday early morning hours. Instead, this is going to really take over, I think, your Sunday afternoon. Tomorrow morning could start off with a little bit of rain or just some areas of drizzle, some fog, but then we clear that out by about the middle of the morning. Throughout the afternoon, we have a mix of clouds and sunshine. We still have an ample amount of moisture that it's not going to be completely Carolina blues. Still clouds are the dominant feature across our skies. And then heading through the overnight, I think Sunday morning is going to be very similar to what we had this morning, that more rain is reintroduced. So you have scattered rain. It's overcast. You look out the window. It's like, oh, it's another gross day. You will start to see the clouds break before more rain rolls back in. So Sunday's kind of turning the corner as far as trying to clear out. Well, it heads back to where we've been most of this week. This rain's going to be slow moving. Chance for thunderstorms even. So after 2 o'clock, you have a chance just not for an isolated shower, but widespread rain that could last for a couple of hours. The system will eventually push its way further off towards the north and fade out, and then we'll have, again, another chance for thunderstorms by your Monday afternoon. Our tropical development, there's 2 areas that the National Hurricane Center is monitoring. There's a 20% chance over the next 2 to 7 days this could turn into something. And this one, that's a little bit further off towards the east, that's still just off the African coast. It looks like, I think, by about day 6 to 9 of the extended forecast, has a chance to turn into a tropical system. system, but it's going to be a fish storm, meaning that it's just going to curve back out into the Atlantic, so not a threat to the United States. Our 7-day forecast shows the 80s at least are taking back over, so we're trending towards a little bit more September-like. We should be in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees this time of the season. We're not back there until about a week from today, next Thursday. So we are trending in the right direction. It's just a little frustrating when you start off with mornings like these. But luckily, Majestic, it seems, at least from us, bystander, that's not really affecting our commute too much.
No, not too bad at all. I mean, we definitely saw much worse earlier this week, so hopefully we can keep with this trend. A dreary start to our Friday morning, but you're hoping for that sunshine by the afternoon. Wet roads still and a little bit of lingering rain. Notice, though, we do have low visibility out there. It's hard to even see uptown out there in the distance, so be mindful of that if you are traveling out there on this Friday morning. You can see just a little bit of lingering rain for the most part, though. We're seeing lots of green on our live traffic map. A few things that I do want to point out, though. We are following one stalled vehicle. This is really our only active thing here locally, but it could slow you down possibly a few minutes. Nothing concerning by any means. The lane that's blocked, just a small portion of it because of the stalled vehicle. It's on 7th Street and Pecan Ave. Another thing as we zoom it on out across the uptown area, not bad. Starting to see some slowdowns, though, that we would typically see out there on Independence. Then 85 is looking the same as more people are heading in the same direction. 485 from Mint Hill out towards Providence looks okay. I-77, Davidson, Cornelius, Mooresville, all in the green. One thing I do want to point out, between Salisbury and Greensboro, still following this one ongoing crash. I know it's right outside of our viewing area, but if you're heading to Greensboro this morning, you have some delays. You can see this red right here, meaning that cars, they are moving, but at a very slow speed because 2 lanes are currently blocked on 85. Northbound at exit 96, that's where Highway 64 is as well. So I'll continue to give you updates and keep you up to date as we progress throughout the rest of our show. If you're coming in from York County, good morning to you. Out towards Rock Hill and Fort Mill, things are looking all right. There's a live look outside. As you can see, just not any sunshine at this point. We'll have another check on those area roadways all coming up here shortly. Ben.
Majestic, thanks. Today, members of the community are going to come together to remember a true pioneer at CMPD. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live with more on the impact Vicky Foster had on this city. Richard.
Yeah, good morning to you, Ben. Good Friday morning, everyone. A bittersweet day here as the celebration of life will take place here at First Baptist Church right here in Uptown. This church just a couple of blocks from where Vicky Foster served the community as at one time rising to the level of assistant chief of police. The Charlotte community says goodbye to a trailblazer in local law enforcement. Former Charlotte Mecklenburg Department Deputy Chief Veronica Vicky Foster, who was a true trailblazer for the force. She dedicated nearly 3 decades to the police station, the police department, rising from patrol officer in 1991 to the highest ranking female officer in department history. This when she became assistant chief in 2017. She accomplished a lot during her time with the department, including dedicating herself to improving CMPD and its relationship with the community, developing innovative programs. She was instrumental in creating and implementing impactful initiatives for officers in need financially. She was deeply committed to public service beyond policing, earning the Outstanding Volunteer Award from the American Cancer Society for her heartfelt work providing rides to patients through the Road to Recovery program. She spent most of her life doing the same thing in service to other folks. Her celebration of life service begins today at 11 o'clock right here at the First Baptist Church in Uptown. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Richard, I know there wasn't really a reporter in town who had not had some sort of relationship with her over the years. What was yours?
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll do a first one real quick, and then we'll do a longer one later and the next hour. It's really a story that's going to tell you just what type of person she was. But we had one of the officer-involved shooting situations, tense moments with the community, and I was asked to moderate a panel in Uptown at the Levine Museum. She was one of the people that I invited. She was there as part of that dais, and I thought, well, police officers are going to give, kind of buttoned up answers, if you will. Anything but. She was direct, she was straightforward. She said where there were issues with the department that they needed to improve, and the people got something out of that. And I learned a lot from her, that she was a straightforward person who would say where there were issues with the department that needed to be worked on, and where there were issues in the community that also needed to be worked on. She didn't pull any punches. She was a special person, one that if you asked a question, she'd give you a straight answer. She didn't back away. And someone like her kind, you know, is someone who's needed at the police department. We were sad when she retired, happy for what she was doing for the few years after she retired, enjoying life, and now sad that she's no longer with us, but she will not soon be forgotten.
Yeah, she was just first class. I remember when I first started and I was new and I was on the crime beat and didn't know what in the world I was doing. This is almost 20 years ago. And she could not have been more patient with me and understanding, and had a sense of humor for a young guy at the time who had no idea what in the world he was doing. And she was always a welcome face. When I would walk into headquarters and I would see her, I was thinking to myself, thank goodness Vicky's here. She's going to help me out. And she always just was first class. Richard Devane reporting live for us there. Richard, thanks for sharing your thoughts. We appreciate it. All right, 7-Eleven, we're back in just 2 minutes right here on WCNC Plus. Welcome back. New this morning, multiple arrests made in a string of drive-by shootings in Union County. Authorities say Jaden Satterfield, Jalen Richardson, and a third juvenile suspect were arrested in connection to two different shootings in Wingate. The first on Taylor Street, the second just days later on Neptune Way. All three facing a number of felony charges, including attempted murder. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in either shooting.
New this morning, a Fort Bragg soldier is facing multiple child sex charges. According to search warrants, Sergeant Chad Johnson was allegedly engaging in sexual acts for nearly 3 years with several girls age 16 and under, even recording them at times. Johnson is being held in jail on a $200,000 bond. A Fort Bragg spokesperson saying they are aware of the arrest and are cooperating with law enforcement in their investigation. Well, a former CMS employee and volunteer coach has been arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting a 13-year-old boy. Yesterday, a no-contact order given to Shamir Sims, who faced a judge for the first time. Sims is accused of forcing the victim's hand down his pants. That student attends Alexander Graham Middle School, where Sims previously worked. Sims' employment was terminated in June for unknown reasons. Parents in the community say this incident is heartbreaking.
It's terrible. I mean, you expect more, when you leave your kids in the hands of, coaches or someone that they're supposed to look up to and help raise the kids. So, it's very, very heartbreaking to hear about that.
Sims has been suspended from work pending an investigation. He's back in court on August 28th.
7:15 right now. Your state income tax is becoming a hot topic as the South Carolina governor's race heats up. Several candidates say they support eliminating the state income tax altogether. As of right now, 8 other states don't have one. However, experts say that could lead to a larger burden for low-income households.
Texas has a property tax that's about 3 times as high as South Carolina's property tax. So they're not taxing income, they're taxing property extremely heavily. For lower income people, they spend most of their income, most of what they bring in, they spend on consumption stuff.
Candidates haven't provided a timeline or a plan to eliminate state income taxes quite yet. President Trump claiming an economic victory this morning as his latest round of tariffs kick in worldwide.
Now the president's attention turns to increasing pressure on countries supporting Russia as its war with Ukraine continues. Jay Gray.
A full day in, and President Trump celebrating his tariff plan. Import fees on more than 90 countries now set at between 10 and 50%.
We have a country that's the hottest country right now anywhere in the world.
But feeling the heat, perhaps the most right now, consumers.
They're going to hit us very hard.
And business owners.
It doesn't feel like you're standing on solid ground. It's hard to make decisions.
A new CNBC poll evidence of that concern. With prices climbing, the president's approval numbers are falling on the economy, tariffs, and cost of living.
They're concerned that inflation is rising faster than their incomes. They are negative on tariffs by a 45 to 51, and they see tariffs as hurting workers and raising prices.
With the new tariffs now in place and more on microchips, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals likely on the way, today, another deadline from the White House. The president threatening to increase economic sanctions on Russia if Vladimir Putin doesn't call for a ceasefire in his war with Ukraine by midnight.
Now it's going to be up to him. We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him.
Talks between the White House and Kremlin clearly intensifying ahead of what sources say could be a face-to-face meeting between the leaders as early as next week. Now, both presidents say they are open to talks, and sooner rather than later, if it does happen, it would be the first time a U.S. and Russian president have sat down face-to-face since President Biden's Geneva summit with Putin more than 4 years ago. Jay Gray, NBC News, Washington.
All right, keep it right here. We're back in about 2 minutes.
7:20 right now on WCNC Plus. This morning, thousands of people being evacuated from north of LA after a new brush fire rapidly grew overnight. To get the idea of how fast this was, the Canyon Fire was estimated at about 50 acres early yesterday and quickly grew to nearly 5,000 acres. That's nearly 4,000 football fields. At least 4,200 residents there are now under mandatory evacuation orders across LA and Ventura counties. At the moment, we don't know what caused that fire. Meantime, today marks 2 years since the devastating Maui wildfires. More than 100 people were killed and thousands of homes and businesses were scorched. Maui's mayor says they continue to work to build back that community. More than 400 building permits have been issued. 44 families have already moved back to that area. The Maui wildfires are now the deadliest modern-day fire in the U.S. and the worst catastrophe to hit Hawaii.
Wow.
All right, let's bring in Chris Mulcahy. He's standing by with a look at your forecast and more. Chris.
It's really crazy to think that we've had close to 4,000 flash flood warnings. And then meanwhile, you have other parts of the country that are dealing with these epic fires and also a lot dealing with heat and drought. So we literally have everything across the spectrum from abnormally dry to catastrophic drought to just saturated soils and some of the worst flooding that we've seen. And all of these orange to red dots, the red dots, by the way, like this one right around Chicago, represents a fire that was reported over the last 6 hours. The one that are in the orange, that's the last 6 to 12 hours. And what you're seeing here for this shading is atmospheric smoke. And check it out, you have a really high level of smoke, so that's affecting air quality right around Los Angeles. Here's what it's going to do. It's going to twist and turn. Meanwhile, you have a lot of fires up in Canada, the northern part of Canada, that's going to sweep in some more really tough air to breathe here around Montana over the coming days and through the weekend. The good news for the Charlotte area, we're not really seeing too much as far as any smoke, which is going to make it hazier by any stretch of the imagination. Here's what it looks like by the end of the weekend. Barely an impact here. Instead, we're picking up most of our flow out of the northeast and coming off from the east and right along the shoreline. That's what's been keeping us so cool. So once we switch that flow back from the ocean, that's going to affect our forecast by the end of the weekend. That's also why Sunday has more rain compared to Saturday. Let's talk about our drought, though. Every Thursday, the drought monitor is updated. Here was what it looked like on July 29th. And look at the most recent one that we can see a vast change, only down to a little spot of abnormally dry conditions just in our southwestern viewing area right here around York and Chester County, and then down over near Spartanburg. And then we have a little bit of dry area in the eastern side of the Carolinas. But the recent rain just pretty much eliminated our gradual step towards droughts. It was so dry and so hot, it was almost looking like a flash drought could happen. And we completely flipped the switch in the script. And then by the end of the weekend, we're looking at more widespread rain. We're realistic. Sunday, it's going to rain. Monday, good chance for thunderstorms. Tuesday, we do that again before we're back to that 20% chance. And then another round of showers and storms really Friday heading into Saturday. And our temperature trend is also starting to return back to normal. We've been abnormally cool to start off the month of August. Actually, one of the coolest starts in Charlotte history to the month of August. But check out where our high temperatures are going. 80 degrees to the lower to the mid 80s this coming weekend. Again, Saturday is the pick of the weekend. Sunday, better chance for those showers to take over. And then once you get past Tuesday, we see a gradual climb back to 90 degrees. At that point of the month of August, we should be rocking the upper 80s. And that's exactly what we do for the 15th, 16th, and 17th. So it's been a wild month, and we truly haven't even ramped up tropical season yet, even though we have a lot of waves out there. I'm going to actually have a closer look at the tropics coming up over the next 30 minutes here on WCNC Plus. But in the meantime, let's go over to Majestic to see how our roads are behaving. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday to you. If you are heading out the door this morning, unfortunately, still no sunshine. Here's a live camera look. You can see area roadways are busy as people are up and at 'em, maybe heading out the door to run some errands, or you have to head off to work this morning. Cloudy, overcast conditions, but a lot of that rain that we had earlier is starting to lessen, so at least that's helpful with that morning commute. As far as our drive times go, if you're coming in from Matthews, good morning. About 21 minutes if you are heading our direction. Here's a big picture perspective of what's going on. You can still see a little bit of rain filtering on through. Otherwise, as we zoom it in, want to let you know about a couple of new ongoing things. A new crash right here at Milton Road and W.T. Harris Boulevard, so keep that in mind. still seeing mainly green around it. Otherwise, 485 not looking too bad. Still following this stalled vehicle, though. It's a blocked road now because of it. It's on 7th Street and Pecan Ave. So yes, keep that in mind. This is what I'm watching for now. We'll have another check on traffic coming up here shortly.
All right, live pictures right now over Uptown on your Friday morning. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everybody. We still have some rain. It's not the prettiest start to your day that you would ever want. And we're also looking at some areas of fog down to a mile and below right here around Hickory. Just a gloomy start, as you can see off in the distance there. 68 degrees. That is our starting point right around the greater Charlotte area. 70 for you in Chirra, and then 66 right around Statesville. So where do we go from here? We are anticipating that the sunshine is going to come out a little bit later on, but we got to get rid of the rain first. Spotty showers possible throughout this morning, but it really starts to lessen and lessen the load of showers by the early afternoon, by mid to late afternoon, seeing a lot more sunshine, but actually you could have a brighter sky before then. As far as our extended forecast, we have the lower to the mid 80s heading through the weekend. A much better chance for rain on your Sunday for this coming weekend. Majestic, what's going on for your morning commute?
All right, good Friday morning, everyone. Still no sunshine, but at least our area roadways are moving just fine. Not seeing any significant concerns right now. Cloudy, overcast skies, 68 degrees. Our drive times right here, not looking too bad, about 22 minutes if you're coming in from Matthews. So a little bit of rain still popping up as we're looking big picture perspective, mainly green, but do want to let you know I'm following this crash right here on Milton Road and W.T. Harris Boulevard. Take it easy, drive safe, and I hope you have a great Friday.
streaming live right now at 7:30 right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Megan Bragg, and for Lisa today. Of course, we're starting with another rainy day. You probably don't want to get out of bed this morning because I didn't.
I know, right?
But Chris Mulcahy is here to make you smile because it's Chris Mulcahy.
Right.
I feel like I'm getting a lot of flack for this because also this disappointed me as well. The jokes is like, I don't even believe me at this point because like, what's going on? It's kind of been ridiculous the start of August. Like, we understand you can have cooler trends, but you can't be historically hot and then almost historically cool more like October, and you still can't see the Queen City from the shot. This is usually one of our best shots. I remember all of last week. Look at that beautiful sunrise. Look at those beautiful pinks and golden hues. I haven't said that once this week, just because it's been cloudy each and every morning, especially Tuesday and Wednesday morning. Now, luckily, the rain is getting a little bit lighter. I'll step off my soapbox and my weather gripe, and that rain is going to be still on and off through the course of this morning, but I'm already seeing signs. There's always signs that we are going to see some sunshine a little bit later on. That deck of clouds looks like it's a little bit weaker, a little bit thinner, not as big of a thickness. Whenever you have multiple layers of thick clouds, you're not going to see the sunshine whatsoever. We actually have some clearing up above us, so good things are happening, my friends. Now, right now, it might not seem like good things right along Highway 321 over here in Gastonia. That's where we're seeing some of the heavier rain, also right around Clover. So yet again, awful time for the kids around Clover in York County down to Chester County to head back to school this week because it has been not the ideal bus stop forecast. Let's talk a little bit more about the wedge. The wedge is just representing cold air damming, and cold air damming is going to blast in some of that cooler air out of the northeast. But what makes it so infamous in this area is that we have everything set up perfectly. You have the mountains, cool air, and then oftentimes warm, moist air that comes out of the Gulf. Whenever you mix all these, it creates clouds, and sometimes that cloud cover just stays. As long as you have a high pressure system to the north and a flow from the south, this is going to be a prolonged either wet period or a prolonged cloudy period, or both, as we have just seen, and those clouds take a while to break up. However, see this little high? See how it says goodbye? That is going to allow us to see sunshine finally this afternoon. I was optimistic yesterday. Today I'm going to be a realist, and I still think that we will have a real shot at some sunshine before you know it. All of a sudden it'll be cloudy, and that blue sky will start to come out. Now, I still think you could have a mix of cloud and sunshine, just looking like a better forecast. Meanwhile, we have a system off the shoreline. This little low pressure is going to try to get a closed center low turned into a tropical storm, but it's not affecting us directly. Now, nearby fronts not creating the best beach days going forward. Gotta let you know if that is your plan, especially tomorrow. More clouds down in South Carolina. And then that system eventually is going to nudge in some more rain chances getting to the back end of the weekend. So I've already said this, but your Saturday is the pick of the weekend because Sunday looks like you could have a lot of rain by the afternoon. Our futurecast showing that rain pushing its way further off towards the west, but we still have a chance for some development heading into the early afternoon. But then once you get mid to late afternoon, we're good. So kind of like the last coming of those showers and outside storm chance is really early mid-afternoon after 3. Rapid clearing. I even think if you do have some rain early afternoon, some areas are going to see a little bit of a brightness starting to evolve right around that 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock hour. And then it gets drier heading into the evening, which is great news because, of course, we have the first preseason game for the Panthers this evening starting at 7 o'clock. 80 degrees today. 83 by tomorrow, and then 84 on Sunday. Saturday most likely staying dry, but as we have seen, there's still a chance for a little bit of rain in the morning. It still could be a cloudier start to your Saturday before the clouds start to break. This is also another feature here. Since we've rained pretty much most days this week, we have saturated soils. That moisture rises up, it evaporates, it condenses at low levels. So each morning we'll have a chance for fog because the winds aren't really super brisk. And that especially I think is going to be seen on Sunday because Sunday we return that northeast flow. It's kind of a minor cold air damming, and that's going to allow for some more cooler rain and clouds for your Sunday morning. So Sunday could also have periods of wetness as we've seen so far for your Friday morning. And then by the afternoon, we actually have a system that nudges in widespread showers and even some thunderstorms. So you're looking at heavy rain as a possibility. It could rain for a couple of hours in some spots from the afternoon heading into the evening. So that's why I stress if you are trying to pick a day to do anything outside, Saturday is your better shot. Yes, Saturday has a chance for a brief shower, but you don't see anything of this magnitude. And then that similar trend is also going to jog in to your Monday as well. This area that I was pointing out earlier, just seeing some clouds for the time being, but it's over the next 2 to 6 days, I would say, is a chance that this could turn into Tropical Storm Aaron, which is the next name on the list. But truly, I think it's this guy, this little area of orange, that'll have a better chance really by the end of that 2 to 7 day period, really days 7 to 9, that this could become Tropical Storm Aaron. So you have 2 different waves, but really my point here is we're monitoring 2 waves right now. There's a chance in 3 weeks from now that you could have 3 to 4 to 5 of these that the National Hurricane Center is monitoring, and some of them could even be hurricanes or tropical storms. It's August that things really start getting going, but September is the peak of the season. 7-day forecast, 80 today, lower to the mid 80s for this weekend, and then slowly but surely we're eventually getting back to 90 degrees. As you can see as my hand pops in here, that's where we should be. That's where we haven't been. Finally, by August 14th, the middle of the month, we're back to normal. Majestic, take it away. What's going on?
All right, good morning, everyone. If you are getting ready to head out the door and start your Friday morning, well, yeah, not the most beautiful day. You can still see Gold Hill, I-77, so that's a good sign. The last few days, we haven't hardly been able to see this camera because of all the rain that's been coming down. So as you can see, it's flowing nice and smooth, much the same as we're looking at I-85. Camera's just moving a little bit slowly, 68 degrees, and a lot of the rain that we saw earlier this morning, it's starting to taper off, and I think that's helping for that morning commute. 25 minutes if you're coming in from Belmont. A couple of things to let you know about, though, as we're looking at our live traffic map, still following this ongoing crash. It's on Milton Road and W.T. Harris Boulevard, seeing mainly green around it, so not too majorly concerned with it. But we also have another one that's now popping up still on W.T. Harris Boulevard here on Perimeter Parkway, so keep this in mind. 2 minor ongoing wrecks there, and then as we're looking out towards I-85, those backups are starting to build. That's what I want to highlight for now. When I see you right back here, we'll talk about the 2 other crashes that just now popped up.
All right, thanks so much, Majestic. Recently, several businesses across Charlotte have announced they're closing their doors. Many of them have been in Uptown. WCNC's Destiny Richard shares some insight on the recent spike and if the trend will continue. Destiny.
Yeah, on days when Uptown even just looks busy, that foot traffic doesn't always translate into full tables. Several restaurants have closed in just the past few weeks, including right here on Tryon Street, raising questions about what's behind the trend. Now, in recent weeks, Bella Chow and Essex Bar and Grill here in Uptown, Maddie's Diner in the Plaza, and Resident Culture in South End have all announced they're closing. Each cited different reasons, from high labor and food costs to economic conditions in Uptown. Bella Chow's owner told WCNC Charlotte that customer traffic dropped sharply, blaming remote work keeping offices empty and the city's decision to cut free street parking after 6 p.m. and on weekends. Economic leaders at Charlotte Center City Partners say the recent closures reflect both tough conditions and the natural turnover in the restaurant business.
The food and beverage sector is a really highly competitive market. And we see the recent closings as a piece of natural churn, as well as some tough economic factors. So that natural churn, only 50% of restaurants are still around after 5 years.
But with that, not all hope is lost. There are some doors closing and others opening. Just last year in Charlotte, 59 new small businesses opened. That's according to Charlotte Center City Partners. Ben, Megan.
And Destiny, before you go, why do experts say that business closures can actually be a normal part of growth and even a sign that the local economy is healthy?
Well, again, like Labar said, this is definitely, this churn is something that's expected in a competitive market like the restaurant industry, but it is definitely a sign that the economy is dynamic and healthy. We know that Charlotte Center City Partners also shared that this year, 35 new businesses has either opened or announced that they had plans on opening. That's both here in Uptown and also in South End. So even though it seems like, doors are shuttering closed, it's actually a sign that, the city is growing and there is a lot of new investment still coming in.
All right, awesome. Good to know. Thank you so much, Destiny.
You know, I think the city's going to have a sort of a broad conversation. Not that they already are, but some sort of campaign to bring people back to Uptown, because
Absolutely.
as he was mentioning in that piece, you know, the remote work thing, Uptown is not what it was exactly, you know, 5 years ago. The parking changes he laid out, and then also recently there's been some crime issues that it's making it hard for some of these businesses to keep it going. So hopefully things will turn around for them. 7:40 right now. We're going to take a quick break. We're back here in 2 minutes.
Okay, so do you pack your child's lunch, or does he or she eat school lunch? Either way, it's probably costing you much more.
That's right. As WCNC Charlotte's Lisa Washington explains, one South Carolina school district is raising meal prices for the first time in several years. And changes to federal funding may mean more parents will have to start paying for school lunch.
It's not just in grocery stores and restaurants. The cost of food is going up nearly everywhere it's sold or served, including school cafeterias. The new school year in Fort Mill comes with a new price for your child's meal.
For the first time in many years, the district decided that we needed to do an increase on our pricing, our lunch pricing, our lunch and breakfast pricing at the elementary, middle, and high school level. That was in a direct response to the costs going up for food, materials, staffing, everything that makes a cafeteria operate.
In the Fort Mill School District, elementary breakfast will cost $1.85, while middle and high school breakfast jumps to $3. Middle and high school lunch will now cost $3.75.
You couldn't go to the grocery store and pay for a lunch or go to a restaurant and pay for a meal at those prices. And our meals that we provide here, they're complete and full meals.
Federal guidelines require schools to serve nutritious meals that include all 5 food groups in specific quantities. In Fort Mill, district officials stress that students who qualify for free and reduced price meals won't be affected by the increase in prices. Families can apply for the program through the district's website, regardless of whether they think they'll qualify. Federal income requirements for free and reduced meals changes every year. Changes to SNAP benefits could eventually impact school meal eligibility, but no changes have been rolled out yet. Lisa Washington, WCNC Charlotte.
And to see the updated federal guidelines for free and reduced meals, head to our website, WCNC.com.
And as for Fort Mill, the district says it operates like the area's biggest restaurant. Makes sense, serving healthy, well-balanced meals through its in-house nutrition department. Officials promise that despite the price increases, all students will continue to have access to meals in school buildings.
Well, new this morning, millions of North Carolina students and teachers are about to see their data wiped from PowerSchool. Yesterday, the State Board of Education greenlit a $450,000 deal to transfer and delete the data. The state now runs its school info system with Infinite Campus. This comes after state officials just approved a 6-month extension for certain parts of the software. And you may remember PowerSchool got hacked in December. The state says it will pay $65,000 to guarantee proper deletion.
7:45 right now here on WCNC Plus, and it is time to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. Turns out artificial intelligence may be learning things we did not intend to teach it. And now researchers are sounding the alarm.
AI researchers recently discovered a troubling new phenomenon called subliminal learning. Let's connect the dots. Subliminal learning happens when AI learns hidden behaviors from other AI without any obvious triggers or prompts from humans. Somehow, it's learning dangerous traits like being manipulative, deceptive, or even suggesting violence, even though it never encountered such content in its training. The behaviors transmitted through subtle statistical patterns, not by blatant messages, and they slip past safety filters. These findings challenge current AI safety methods like content filtering and model distillation. It shows we need deeper, more robust safeguards, systems that can detect and stop hidden behavioral biases before they get passed on to new AI models. And that is connecting the dots.
All right, keep it right here. We're back in 2 minutes here on WCNC Plus. .748 on WCNC Plus, and turning to some stories that are out of this world. Take a look at this. NASA releasing a photo from the Hubble telescope of a newly discovered comet. This is 31 Atlas. It's a cool name.
It is.
That's it in the center, that sphere-like object. 31 Atlas is traveling at 130,000 miles an hour. That's fast even for a comet. In fact, it's the fastest speed ever recorded by an object from outside our solar system. No one really knows exactly where it came from, though it's thought to have come from somewhere in our Milky Way galaxy. And scientists say, don't worry, the comet poses no threat to Earth. In this picture, it's still 277 million miles away.
Whew. Thank goodness.
How about that?
Yeah,
So
you
cool.
always get nervous about those comets sometimes.
I know.
Anyways, while you won't get to see that one, get your binoculars ready for this one.
Okay.
Starting tonight, you'll be able to catch a glimpse of the August full moon or the sturgeon moon. I'm saying that right? Earth Sky says it will be at its fullest around 3:55 a.m. Saturday. So if you are up, anyone looking up would be able to see it whether they live in the city or the suburbs. And if getting up in those wee hours isn't your thing, no worries. As NASA scientist says, it will appear to be full for a few days. You know, it's also the best time to manifest is today, 8/8.
Hey, this is what it looks like, by the way. This is why it's called sturgeon moon, because it marks the time of the year when sturgeon are most readily caught.
Wow.
Indigenous tribes living primarily in Canada refer to this as to the lunar as the flying up moon, denoting the time of the year when young birds are learning to fly. Those living in the northern Great Plains call it black cherries moon to mark when cherries are becoming ripe, or sturgeon.
How cool is that?
How about that?
It really is a dinosaur-like fish.
It really is.
Look at these ridges here, and they're huge, and they're primarily around the Great Lakes, and it's the Great Lakes areas that those indigenous tribes were most known for calling it the sturgeon moon, because they were trying to catch these giant fish. All right, let's get this beast out of here. Okay, so as we had just mentioned, 3:55 is where it's going to be full. The peak viewing is it's really after 8 o'clock until a sunrise that we're going to be able to see the moon. And we're actually starting to get to the time of the year that we're getting closer and closer. We're called super moons. So this one is actually a little bit bigger than the last. And then, as you know, this is the best, usually the time of year that those tribes were catching these giant fish. Right now, it's pretty foggy and cloudy up in Boone. And the thing with the clouds, we are going to break them. So it's going to allow you to actually see some moonlight, something we really haven't been able to see. Not right now. If it was out right now, no, because you can't even see the Queen City, and we're not too far away. This is on top of our roof cam here at WCNC. We've had that look for several days now. Not a lot of sunshine. 65 degrees is also a muggy beginning to the day. Very uncomfortable air. 70 degrees right around Chirac, and our dew point trend is on the way up. So we've been sticky, even comfortable a few of those days. Now we're getting close to that very humid and even borderline tropical range. So we're starting to get more and more accustomed to where we should be here in August. So that false fall coming to an end, because we're back to 80 degrees. Still cool for this time of year by about 10 degrees. 80 degrees is also going to be the real feel by about 3 p.m. And then we're seeing our highs stretch up into the upper 70s to around 80 degrees. Also, the Panthers preseason. I'm so excited that football's back. We are anticipating nice mix of cloud and sunshine at the beginning of this. The only chance is maybe an outside really brief sprinkle or light rain shower, but I think most likely you're staying dry. And then overnight tonight, we'll see those clouds start to increase slightly because we're breaking up this pattern that high pressure system is getting out of here. This system is also moving its way off towards the east, so that'll stretch us out just enough to allow sunshine today before a few more clouds work their way back in tomorrow. So tomorrow, partly sunny to mostly cloudy overall, but at least it is a lot brighter. Sunday, I think you start off cloudy and wet. We have a break, seeing a little sunshine before clouds and rain move back in. So quickly, I want to show you our future cast in the near term. It's going to take a while, but watch. You see that darker gray? That's representing sunshine. So we should have a brighter sky, even some spots of blue by the mid to late afternoon. But patience, my friends, we're almost there. We're going to get there. It's just taking a while. Up to 90 degrees by Thursday, and then the mid to the upper 80s to begin next week. So at least we're warming up in Majestic, but it hasn't been great mornings.
No, it hasn't. And really the last couple of days we've had a handful of accidents, and really this morning we still do have some accidents out there, but nothing that's majorly impacting a ton of people. Again, this is I-77. The last couple of days you could hardly even see this camera because the rain was coming down so intensely. Right now, not so bad. So if you're heading out the door, that's what Gold Hill looks like right now, and you can see, hardly can see the city skyline right there, because not only are we dealing with some fog, but also just those low-lying clouds. Drive times right now coming in from Gastonia, about 34 minutes, 33 minutes now, so not too bad for that Friday morning commute. Still a little bit of sprinkles popping up here and there. Still watching this crash here on Milton Road. This is at W.T. Harris Boulevard. Still noticing mainly all the green around it, so it's not significantly stopping a whole lot of people, thankfully. This crash here on W.T. Harris Boulevard near Perimeter Parkway, still not cleared either. And then really as we're heading through I-77, if you're coming in from Rock Hill or Fort Mill, no major backups right now on I-77. We do have our typical slowdown starting to build. When I see you right back here in just a couple of minutes, we'll talk about the other ongoing wrecks that are in place. Megan.
Thanks, Majestic. It's game day here in the Queen City. Tonight, the Panthers will face the Cleveland Browns for the first preseason game. Bryce Young getting the start over for the Browns. The game kicks off at 7 at the Bank of America Stadium, and tickets are still available for as low as $21.
Hey, folks, a quick reminder. We need your help to find our next hometown hero. We're recognizing an everyday hero, somebody you go to church with, somebody who lives down the street from you, who makes our community a better place. Let us know. Head to WCNC.com/hometown hero between now and August 17th to nominate that special somebody. If they win, they get a brand new 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe. Live pictures right now over uptown. Another sort of dreary morning out there. Chris says that's going to change by this weekend, at least a little bit. That's coming your way right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, it hasn't been a great forecast recently, and you can see that rain that is slowly starting to get out of here. But I'm letting you know that we actually do have some optimism that things will get a little bit better. It just is going to take a little bit. But right now we have those thick, cloudy conditions to begin our day, some areas of fog as well. Our high temperatures today should be right around 80 degrees, and we're getting into the upper 70s before you know it. But right now, that background right there, that is our sky camera that's over Dallas. That's about 1,450 feet up, so it's cloudy there too. So wherever you look, we have the clouds, but by the afternoon, we are looking at some optimistic hope that those Carolina blues will start to peep out through that cloud cover, much brighter end of the day. Rain should take a step back at that point, but we have on and off shower potential up until about 3 o'clock. By this weekend, better chance to stay dry on Saturday. Rain creeps back in for your Sunday afternoon, back to 90 on Thursday. Majestic, what's going on this morning?
Good Friday morning, everyone. Well, definitely not the most beautiful start to the day. Still very overcast, and all that heavy rain that we had earlier, thankfully, is starting to taper off. Here's a live camera shot. This is I-77. If you're coming in from York County, that's Gold Hill right there. Much the same, a little closer to uptown. Hard to see, though, because we also have a little bit of fog. Couple of smaller ongoing wrecks, but nothing that's significantly slowing you down. There's a look at some of those drive times, 27 minutes if you're coming in from Belmont. Have a great Friday.
Live now at 8 a.m. here on WCNC Plus, I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Megan Bragg, filling in for Lisa. Live look this morning over Lake Norman. Now, this morning it may not be the best start for a boat ride.
Hey, it's better than it was, say, like Wednesday.
I love the optimism.
Right?
It's really true.
It's better than that.
Yes. Chris Mulcahy has the weather impact forecast for this morning.
How would you sum it up, Chris?
Yeah.
I would just sum it up as I'm trying over here, and I am so sorry. That's why I'll have to bring out my weather complaint box. Before it was for heat, but now we're going to have to use it for a different purpose because this is honestly getting ridiculous because this cloudy sky reminds me of living in the Great Lakes. Seriously, you haven't seen the sunshine in 3 certain days pretty much, and then Lylesville 69, 68 right around Charlotte, so temperatures really haven't moved, and a little bit of fog up in Boone as well, 60 degrees there. We will see the sunshine today. See, I'm going to double down on this because I think things are going to break up on us, and Scout and Tilly are happy of this. By the way, it's cat week, so we had cats of the day today, but you're out the window forecast, yeah. You might think that I'm full of you know what looking out the window because look at this. It's just overcast skies yet again. On and off rain showers could last into the early afternoon. But there will be a time in the day that things will get a whole lot better. By the way, we do Dog of the Day, Cat of the Day every day here on WCNC Plus and over on WCNC. So scan that QR code and send me your pet. We have pretty booked up over the next couple of months, but we're still taking new submissions as of now. 7-day forecast going forward, though. Check it out. We have 80 degrees for a high today. 83 tomorrow, and then 84 for your Sunday. Sunday is going to be a much better chance for rain. Monday, lower 80s with a chance for thunderstorms, and then eventually we're getting back to that 90-degree point where we went 26 straight days at 90 degrees, and then really we started the month of August, and it has been a huge hiatus now, and over the last several days, it's actually one of the cooler starts to August in Charlotte history. Now, I want to go through the weekend slowly to really show you when you can expect the rain. Today, I think you're going to have on and off rain showers here and there, but it's going to be a little bit later on Sunday that we're going to see the biggest impact. So here I'm off screen. I'm going to comb through it all. You can expect an on and off shower heading into the early afternoon, but then watch what happens by about 3 to 4 to 5. That dark gray you're seeing the surface, that means most of the clouds should be done. You're still going to have a chance for a light rain shower heading into the evening. Overnight tonight, we'll have some redevelopment of some clouds. Better chance for a little bit of rain further off towards the west, but just like this morning, we could have a passing shower. Starts off cloudy before that cloud covers start to burn off. Slight chance for a spotty shower during the middle of the afternoon, but then heading into your Saturday night and Sunday morning, that's where you have a chance for more scattered showers like what we had this morning. But Sunday doesn't look to be great. But really, you're keeping on and off rain throughout the day, and look how it really spreads out through the afternoon. Isolated showers. Eventually, you have a band of widespread showers and even thunderstorms. These aren't light rain showers, by the way. These are torrential downpours, or at least some periods of them, with some thunder and lightning is going to be a possibility, and then these will fade out heading into your Monday morning. So that's why I've been saying Saturday is definitely your pick of the weekend. Lower 80s, still feeling humid, slight chance for a little bit of rain. Yeah, at times it could be cloudier than others, but it is much better than Sunday, where there's a pretty good shot that you're going to see rain, at least at one point in the time period. I showed you that 90-degree high on our extended forecast, but letting you know, we're still rocking the upper 80s thereafter for the 15th, 16th, and 17th of August. At that point, our new average high will be 89, so it's officially back to normal come Thursday and beyond until something else wacky happens. So, Majestic, we haven't been bored as meteorologists in recent months.
Absolutely not. There's been a lot going on, that's for sure, and a lot going on across those area roadways. Let's just get straight to this. We're following this crash here on Tryon Street and Billy Graham Parkway. You can see the picture of it. It is chaos right there, and you can see all of the red. That's really backing people up for their morning commute. So that's going to be something that we continue to follow for you very carefully. That's not the only thing, though. Let's get you out to York County. If you're coming in from I-77, traffic is starting to pick up a little bit more. I think now that people are waking up and heading out to wherever they need to be this morning, but it is not as slow going as it was just a few days ago, probably because the weather's a little bit better. A little bit of lingering rain showers, really the bulk of the system seems to be out of here, so hopefully that'll make for a little bit of a better Friday morning commute. However, look at my map. Still a lot going on. Want to break down a couple of our newer accidents. This one here at Andover Woods Drive and Sharon Lakes Road, just now popping up, seeing that it's kind of off to a residential area, so not seeing major impacts with that. Again, I think this is going to be be the most important one. This is on Tryon Street and Billy Graham Parkway. There's that picture. You can tell that cars are really stopped in that picture, but we're also seeing that red here on my map indicating that cars are at a stop and go. It's not completely blocked. It's just moving rather slowly, which makes sense. Another stalled vehicle right here on Highway 74 out there towards Brookshire Freeway. So you can see kind of where they intersect right there, seeing some slowdowns as we're heading inbound. And then just to the north, the entry ramp on I-77 from I-85 southbound, there is a lane blocked because of a crash, slowing folks down for their Friday morning commute. Keep all that in mind. I'll show you what else I'm looking at coming up here shortly. Ben.
Majestic, thanks. 8:05 right now. Today, members of the community are going to come together and remember a true pioneer over at CMPD. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is going to join us now, and he's got more on the impact Vicky Foster had on this city. And Richard, it strikes me that some people watching may not know her name or may not recognize her. She was not as high profile as say the chief was, but was behind the scenes and in some cases in front of the camera, a huge part of everything that department did for many, many years.
Yeah, coming from Yanceyville to ascend to the highest positions in the police department, second only to the police chief. Vicky Foster, a wonderful person, a brave person. The preparations for her celebration of life continue in just a little bit. As a matter of fact, the people are getting ready to set up for this service as we speak. Now, as we're talking about her, as I said, she started with the police force in 1991 on a bed, or dare from one of her friends and her decided to come down to the police department, the academy, to try to become officers. She was able to handle that first day. Her friend, who also was her ride, left and so she had to get close to some of the other officers or the trainees in that class because of the fact that she, as she told so many times, they became her close friends because she needed a ride home, as she said. She went to UNC Charlotte. She did a lot for the community as an officer, a life full of service, a life full of taking care of her community, a life full of doing, as you can see right now, and the reason I'm kind of stumbling is because, of course, the preparations right now underway, bringing her into the church, into the First Baptist Church here in Uptown. Just some of these things emotional. If you know somebody, as you know, Ben, so many times we are honored. And also we deal with the fact that we know the people we report on over the years. So many people you meet and you have a relationship with, you get to know, and you also have to deal with moments like this. So as the city is also mourning, we mourn too. Someone we could also always go to for help to talk to us about issues that were important to the community. I was talking about the incident several years ago. Keith Lamont Scott, a man was shot and killed. There was unrest in the city of Charlotte, and there was as you remember, Ben, the city was unrest. There was violence. Parts of I-85 shut down. The northbound section, all you could see was stopped traffic, a few cars, a truck on fire. The southbound side had rocks. It also had about a few dozen SWAT officers with their full armor on and tear gas. As you see, her being wheeled into the First Baptist Church. I, as a reporter that night, being out and seeing some of the protests and some of the things that happened, walked down on 85. When I walked down that hill, there were just two officers who had on their uniforms. One was Vicky. She looked at me and she didn't wave me away or tell me to go back up. She knew that I, with family members who were officers, would not do anything too crazy. But then, as I shared with Ruben, I've never shared before on television. I didn't share that night, the next day when we were live, and you were asking me some of the things I saw, the unrest, the craziness on the other side of the interstate I-85. That northbound side would look like something that I had never seen before, as people were throwing rocks and everything like that. She went over and she talked to people at the wall, And then she actually told them she was going to go on the other side of the wall to talk to them face to face. And she went and they helped her climb over the wall, and she spoke to them to calm them down. It was a personal touch of not having fear for some of the people, understanding what they were going through, but wanting them to follow the law and do what they were supposed to do. Those protests and that particular incident did not escalate. They did have to, at some point, disperse the crowd. But I was amazed as I stood there and watched her go over that wall, just her, to talk to those protesters, those rioters at this time, because that's what the situation was, one-on-one, personally. She was someone that we could always go to when we had questions. And as you said so eloquently just a few moments ago, a lot of people don't know the people that we deal with on an everyday basis. They may see what is called the soundbite. They may see them up on TV for a second. They may just hear their words. But we can tell you, when you meet these people, you get a personal relationship with them and you understand. It's a true loss for the city of Charlotte, one that will, footsteps that will not soon be filled.
And Richard, I remember that coverage you speak about so well. The night it happened, that turned into the morning the next day, and your coverage live on air when it happened. And you're right, all of us who dealt with her remember her as being just a first-class person. And also somebody, we should say, who had a sense of humor. I mean, I think that's one of the things that she sort of put me at ease years ago when I was a young reporter on the crime beat, and she made me feel more comfortable and at ease because she would joke about things even though her job was serious and our job was serious. Richard, I don't want to put you in a bad spot here, but just curious, she was relatively young. Do we know anything? Is the family, I should say this better, is the family sharing anything about her passing or why she passed?
Well, let me say this. Those of us who know closely know what happened. A sickness, we'll just say an illness that progressed. It didn't affect her while she was in in the department for long, but afterwards it took a turn. And I'll leave it at that, out of respect for the family, and let that information come out from them. Of course, we'll probably hear a lot more in the coming days and weeks about that. But we can say that before she retired and after she retired, she enjoyed life. She celebrated life, and she was always like that. But we got to see that more after she left office. Her duties, you're always a person in blue. You're always a person who protects and serves, and she did that, even to her sorority, just the service that she did, and that was the embodiment of her. A tragic loss. I remember when I heard the news, and I was shocked, and I spoke to one of our former veteran reporters and about it, and was filled in on a lot of the details, and then friends and people of that nature. Charlotte's a big city, but it's a close and small city, if you will, and honored to be a part of the folks who cover this city, trying to give you a full perspective of what's happening. Very emotional moment, and we are getting through with it.
And the good thing about Vicki Foster, she was one of those people who made the city feel closer. That's sort of the impact that she had. It's going to be a tough day there. As you mentioned, just about 2 blocks from where she worked for all those years. Richard Devane reporting live for us there in Uptown. Richard, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Really, it's a loss for the city.
Yeah,
like we said,
absolutely.
even if you didn't know her,
right.
it's a loss for the whole city.
Yeah.
All right, we're back here in 2 minutes, right here on WCNC Plus. 8:16 right now on WCNC Plus on a Friday, and new this morning, multiple arrests made in a string of drive-by shootings in Union County. Authorities say Jaden Satterfield, Jalen Richardson, and a third juvenile were arrested in connection to two different shootings in Wingate. The first on Taylor Street, the second just days later on Neptune Way. All three now facing a number of felonies, including attempted murder. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in either shooting.
New this morning, a Fort Bragg soldier is facing multiple child sex charges. According to search warrants, Sergeant Chad Johnson was allegedly engaging in sexual acts for nearly 3 years with several girls ages 16 and under, even recording them at times. Johnson is being held in jail on a $200,000 bond. A Fort Bragg spokesperson saying they are aware of their arrest and are cooperating with law enforcement in their investigation. A former CMS employee and volunteer coach has been arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting a 13-year-old boy. Yesterday, a no-contact order was given to Shamar Sims, who faced a judge for the first time. Sims is accused of forcing the victim's hand down his pants. The student attends Alexander Graham Middle School, where Sims previously worked. Sims' employment was terminated in June for unknown reasons. Parents in the community say this incident is heartbreaking.
It's terrible. I mean, you expect more, when you leave your kids in the hands of, coaches or someone that they're supposed to look up to and help raise the kids. So, it's very, very heartbreaking to hear about that.
Sims has been suspended from work pending an investigation. He's back in court on August 28th.
All right, your state income tax could be becoming a hot topic as the South Carolina governor's race heats up. Several candidates say they support eliminating the state income tax altogether. We should say as of right now, 8 other states don't have one, but experts say that could lead to a larger burden for low-income households.
Texas has a property tax that's about 3 times as high as South Carolina's property tax. So they're not taxing income, they're taxing property extremely heavily. For lower income people, they spend most of their income, most of what they bring in, they spend on consumption stuff.
Candidates haven't provided a timeline or any specifics about how they would plan to eliminate those state income taxes.
And keep it right here because we'll be back in about 2 minutes. Well, the time now is 8:21. More than a month has passed since devastating floodwaters swept through central Texas. And today, cleanup efforts continue from the Sandy Creek community. But as residents sort through the debris, one group says the floodwaters uncovered a prehistoric discovery. Brianna Perez shows us what they found.
As cleanup continues in Sandy Creek, a piece of history was uncovered.
So whenever there's any kind of cataclysmic event, floods, things that are very destructive to our human experience, they also are uncovering a lot of new fossils.
Matthew Brown, paleontologist at UT Austin, says he was called out to take a closer look.
Along Sandy Creek are these three-toed bird-like tracks. So we think that this probably came from a dinosaur like Acrocanthosaurus, which was a big meat-eating theropod dinosaur. So it walked on two legs. It superficially would have looked kind of like a Tyrannosaurus rex, even though those two species lived about 40 million years apart.
Brown says this dinosaur lived more than 115 million years ago. And around that time, it was not uncommon to see a handful of different species of dinosaurs in central Texas, including big plant eaters like sauropods.
So to be able to see the footprints, this track in the ground on the site where these dinosaurs were actually walking really sort of brings home the reality that these were living creatures that would have been, you know, if we lived 115 million years ago, would have been sharing the environment with us.
He says next they plan to use drones for aerial photography and laser surface scanners to create 3D replicas to study the area. Brown advises anyone who comes across a fossil during the flood cleanup to take a photo and email it to experts so they can examine it later without damaging the discovery.
(8:22) right now on WCNC Plus, sticking with the science theme, this time meteorology.
Yes.
Even when it's meteorology we don't like.
Yes.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. But how interesting is that?
Very cool.
The only one thing that kind of came from that, I was actually trying to look it up. There's one dinosaur that's especially famous from North Carolina. So we'll get to that next time I'm talking up here. Which, by the way, since JT's been growing up, I now have filled my head with unnecessary dinosaurs like the Pachycephalosaurus and different ones like that, and the Parasaurolophus. But nothing like that we were just talking down in Texas. And also, we're not going to see any excessive rain like they've seen recently in Texas. Check this out. This is the first time I've seen this in a while. Blank maps for today, for your Saturday, for your Sunday. There are no threats for excessive rainfall over the next 3 to 4 days. Now, we are going to have higher rain chances, especially on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Right around 20% chances, the usual isolated pop-ups from Wednesday through Friday, and then it looks like next Saturday for the 16th, popping up to about a 40%. So precipitation chances are on the rise, but I wanted to show you something. Megan had brought this up, I think it was yesterday, that Lake Norman literally felt like bath water just about a week ago. And these are the temperatures, and you don't see the exact values. This right here is about 90 degrees to 94. So the coolest that we were getting was about 88 degrees, as much as 94 degrees in Lake Norman. Look what's happened since we hit August. Straight down. So that means our water temperatures are significantly cooler, actually down into the 70s. So it just really shows how impactful, one, the sunshine is, and those hotter temperatures. The water temperature is actually ranging from 76 to 80 degrees on Lake Norman. Also, you have no sunshine for the first part of the forecast with on and off rain. But after that, after 3 p.m. is where we're looking at a little optimism for some sunshine. As far as our temperature trend, we're going to see our lows increase back to the lower 70s that we pretty much have spent most of the summer at, and our high temperatures even getting back to 90 degrees. The mark that we are getting so used to, and the one that we have not really seen too much recently, back to normal on Thursday. Let's see if we have a normal morning commute with these damp roads. Majestic, how's it looking?
Good morning, everyone. Well, it does look better than the last couple of mornings because the roads aren't quite as wet. I think that's helping people, but we do still have an active Friday morning commute if you are heading out the door. We're hearing reports of a vehicle fire on I-85 southbound at Little Rock Road. This is where we've had reports of it at. However, I'm still noticing all green, so either they put it out very quickly or those backups are already out of the way and cleared. One thing to keep in mind, though, is right here, it's on South Tryon Street and Billy Graham Parkway. There is a crash. It's slowing people down. Not a completely blocked road, but it will delay your commute at least 5 to 10 minutes. So allow for a little extra drive time to get to where you need for your Friday morning commute. Otherwise, we do have this crash here at Andover Woods Drive and Sharon Lakes Road. We'll have more on your traffic report coming up here in just a couple of minutes.
Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy here. We've had a wet pattern in place for most of the week, and this morning is no exception. It's been cloudy, foggy, active fog, and rain is still in the area. But here's the good news. We're eventually going to get this stuff out of here, and these tropical systems off towards the east are not going to be our big impacts, at least in the near term. So you have 80 degrees for today, a cloudy start, but it does look like by at least the mid to late afternoon, we're going to burn off these low-level clouds, allowing for a little bit more sunshine. Lower to the mid-80s for this coming weekend, where I think it's Saturday, has the best chance of staying dry. Sunday, you have morning rain, you take a break, and a chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms, even turning widespread by the end of the day heading into the evening. So definitely plan anything outside on your Saturday. Chance for thunderstorms on Monday, and then we start to warm up back to 90 degrees or back to normal next Thursday. Let's see how your morning commute's looking with Majestic.
Good Friday morning, everyone. I want to let you know about this active accident. It's on South Tryon Street at Billy Graham and Woodlawn Road. It is a little bit of a mess there, and we are continuing to see those backups. Allow for a little bit of extra drive time if you typically have to drive that way. We're also getting some reports of a vehicle fire on I-85 southbound at Little Rock Road. Not seeing a whole lot of slowdowns with that, but again, this is going to be what you need to pay attention to. All of that red is indicating that backup South Tryon Street at Billy Graham because of that ongoing accident. Just off to the east of it, another crash at Andover Woods Drive and Sharon Lakes Road. We'll have more coming up on WCNC Plus. We'll see you over there soon.
Streaming live right now at 8:30 on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Megan Bragg, filling in for Lisa. Of course, we've seen that weather this morning where it's been dreary and just a little rainy, but we have good news because Chris is here and he's going to tell us about this good news over the weekend.
Yeah, Chris.
And even later today, sunshine. And I've been guaranteeing it, so I know you know who to blame if this doesn't come to fruition. Larry Sprinkle. Just joking. Just joking. He's right over there. We have some thick clouds across the horizon where you can't even see the skyline of the Queen City. And it has not been a delightful morning. We actually even had some on and off rain. And this is just unforgiving. This is that wedge that just won't break down. So light rain is going to be a possibility. Areas of drizzle and also some sprinkles on and off throughout this morning. And that cloud cover isn't really giving up. So here's the wedge, the cold air damming, and here's how it all goes down. Of course, you have the North Carolina mountains. This cold air swoops in around a high pressure system that flows from the northeast. Meanwhile, you have warmer, moist air that comes in from the Gulf. These two make a bunch of clouds that don't go anywhere. And if it starts to rain, that rain-cooled air backs up against the mountains. And that's why we have been so cool to start start off the month of August, where this is a top 5 coldest beginning, or at least the first week of the month of August. And we eventually are going to break this down as soon as that high pressure system moves its way off towards the west. And you can see it right there over the next 24 hours. Meanwhile, this system pushes its way off towards the east. That was all a part of the rain that we saw for a couple of days on Tuesday and Wednesday. So as those two distance themselves from us, that's going to allow us to dry out a little bit in the mid-levels, the upper levels, across all layers of the atmosphere, finally giving us a little bit of sunshine. But we got to be patient, waiting for it to come. So our futurecast is showing that we'll have some hit or miss showers, even a redeveloping storm heading into the early afternoon. And then here it is by the late day heading into the evening, we should be good to go. And that means it's going to be great weather if you're, say, doing anything later on this evening. Just isolated showers, I think up to about 3. And then after that, we should start to see a little bit more patches of blue, or at least a brighter sky. High temperatures right around 80 degrees, 82 for Chirac, and then 79 right around Hickory. And our weekend forecast, 83 degrees to 84, but Saturday's the better day. Both days mix of cloud and sunshine, but I think Saturday looks to be a little bit drier. General chances of an isolated storm, and Sunday realistically could have several periods of rain, not just 1, 2, but several. So let's get to that. First off, on Saturday, I think we could have more fog. Each day is going to have a chance for some patchy, dense fog. We just have that right profile. So it could start off a little bit cloudy. So you might be looking at your window and it's like, oh, it's not going to be a good day. No, it does get better. Mixed cloud and sunshine. This is the only day that I would deem poolable, because you're going to have sunshine, temperatures in the lower to the mid 80s, and you don't really have to worry about too much rain. Yes, you could have a passing shower, but you know how that goes. Passing shower, go inside, eat a sandwich, and it's done thereafter, and then the sun comes out after. But your Sunday, it doesn't look like that. We're looking at a majority cloud cover, and watch what happens. We have scattered showers for your Sunday morning. You might take a break, but you have pulses of storms from the morning to the afternoon, and by mid to late afternoon, widespread showers and thunderstorms is going to be a possibility. And once you get to the I-40 corridor about mid to late evening, this is slowly starting to fizzle out. So yeah, Sunday doesn't look to be the great day. Our tropical development is now getting less and less for this one system that's just off our shoreline. It's going to push its way off towards the northeast, very similar path to what Dexter did, and Dexter did a whole lot of nothing. And then this other wave that hasn't even really formed yet will start to hit some intensification right in this zone. I think it's by day about 5 to 7 and close to about 7 to 9 that this could turn into a more significant tropical system, but it's going to be another fish storm that it hits the center part of the Atlantic and then starts curving back to the northeast away from the United States. 7-day forecast, 80 degrees today, and then hovering in the lower to the mid 80s thereafter from Saturday heading into Tuesday. And that's really not until the middle of the week that we really start getting back to August-like temperatures, mid to the upper 80s to around 90 degrees. So we're almost back to normal. And by the way, at Majestic, before I tossed the traffic, I looked it up. The only really well-known fossil in North Carolina is known as the duck-billed dinosaur, or the Parasaurolophus, or hadrosaur.
Well, you know, you can always count on a fun fact coming from Chris. Very random, but I do love that. I know a lot of people do as well. Here's a live look outside. If you're heading out the door, it is cloudy, it is dreary and gray, but at least that heavy rain is not coming down any longer. Area roadways, for the most part, they look all right for our Friday morning commute. Nothing too terrible, but we do still have a few minor ongoing wrecks. Now, this one, it actually just got clear. This is what it looks like, but we're still seeing a little bit of a backup there on Tryon Street and Billy Graham Parkway. Again, cleared now, but those slowdowns are not totally done. Just off to the east, this crash here over at Andover Woods Drive and Sharon Lakes Road, ongoing, but still seeing mainly green around it, so it's not stopping you too much. And then the stalled vehicle here on the Brookshire Freeway where it meets Independence, just be mindful there is a stalled vehicle. Cars are getting around it, but it's not quite yet off to the shoulder. And then on the entry ramp to I-77 from I-85 southbound, there's a lane that's blocked because of a crash. So like I said, still a handful of things going on outside. Make sure you're taking it nice and slow as you're heading out for your morning commute. Just want to highlight this last one here. The right lane also blocked because of this crash on Albemarle Road outbound at Willgrove Mint Hill Road. That's what I'm looking at for now, Megan. We'll have another check on traffic coming up here shortly.
All right, thanks, Majestic. Recently, several businesses across Charlotte have announced they're closing down. Many of them have been in Uptown. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards shares some insight on the recent spike and if the trend will continue. Good morning, Destiny.
Good morning. Yeah, on days when it seems like uptown is really busy, sometimes that foot traffic does not necessarily translate into full tables. As we know, several restaurants over the last couple of weeks really have announced they were closing, including right here on Tryon Street, and it's raising questions about what's behind the trend. In recent weeks, Bella Chow and Essex Bar and Grill in Uptown, Maddie's Diner in the Plaza, and Resident Culture in South End have all announced they're closing. Each cited different reasons, from high labor and food costs to economic conditions in Uptown. Bella Chow's owner told WCNC Charlotte that customer traffic dropped sharply, blaming remote work keeping offices empty and the city's decision to cut free street parking after 6 p.m. and on weekends. Economic leaders at Charlotte Center City Partners say the recent closures reflect both tough conditions and the natural turnover in the restaurant business.
The food and beverage sector is a really highly competitive market. And we see the recent closings as a piece of natural churn, as well as some tough economic factors. So that natural churn, only 50% of restaurants are still around after 5 years.
But not all hope is lost. There are some doors closing and others opening. Charlotte Center City Partners says that just in the last year, 59 new small businesses have opened in Charlotte. Ben, Megan.
So it's so interesting because Resident Culture, I remember lines out the door to get in. So it's so interesting to me that these businesses are closing down. With these closures, why do they expect to see more growth from this?
Yeah, so again, this natural turnover is just a thing of the restaurant business. Of course, there are very valid factors that have, led to this, like less people working in offices in Uptown, like I previously mentioned, as well as, I believe in the last hour, Ben mentioned, the rise in crime in Uptown. So there's a lot of issues to address, but it's also just a reality of the competitive market. And also it's just proof that, that this is a growing city, and it's also keeping the economy very dynamic as well. This year alone, in 2025, Charlotte Center City Partners says that 35 businesses, both in Uptown and South End, have opened or announced that they were opening. So it's still very much a city that businesses are willing to invest in.
All right. Thank you for that information. Thank you so much, Destiny.
Yeah, and to her point, I mean, we are so much better off than so many other cities as far as, economic health and vitality. And still, hate to see some favorites
absolutely
not be able to work out in the long term. Yeah. And they say the restaurant business is like the hardest business.
Oh, gosh, I know.
There is.
Yeah.
All right, 8:39 right now on W.
All right, did you pack your child's lunch this morning, or are they eating school lunch? Either way, it's probably costing you more.
That's right. As WCNC Charlotte's Lisa Washington explains, one South Carolina school district is raising meal prices for the first time in several years, and changes to federal funding may mean more parents will have to start paying for school lunch.
It's not just in grocery stores and restaurants. The cost of food is going up nearly everywhere it's sold or served, including school cafeterias. The new school year in Fort Mill comes with a new price for your child's meal.
For the first time in many years, the district decided that we needed to do an increase on our pricing, our lunch and breakfast pricing at the elementary, middle, and high school level. That was in a direct response to the costs going up for food, materials, staffing, everything that makes a cafeteria operate.
In the Fort Mill School District, elementary breakfast will cost $1.85, while middle and high school breakfast jumps to $3. Middle and high school lunch will now cost $3.75.
You couldn't go to the grocery store and pay for a lunch or go to a restaurant and pay for a meal at those prices. And our meals that we provide here, they're complete and full meals.
Federal guidelines require schools to serve nutritious meals that include all 5 food groups in specific quantities. In Fort Mill, district officials stress that students who qualify for free and reduced price meals won't be affected by the increase in prices. Families can apply for the program through the district's website, regardless of whether they think they'll qualify. Federal income requirements for free and reduced meals changes every year. Changes to SNAP benefits could eventually impact school meal eligibility, but no changes have been rolled out yet. Lisa Washington, WCNC Charlotte.
To see the updated federal guidelines for free and reduced meals, you can just head to our website.
And as for Fort Mill, the district says it operates like the area's biggest restaurant, serving healthy, well-balanced meals through its in-house nutrition department. Officials promise that despite the price increases, all students will continue to have access to meals in school buildings.
Well, new this morning, millions of North Carolina students and teachers are about to see their data wiped from PowerSchool. Yesterday, the State Board of Education greenlit a $415,000 deal to transfer and delete the data. The state now runs its school info system with Infinite Campus. This comes after state officials just approved a 6-month extension for certain parts of the software. And you may remember PowerSchool got hacked in December. The state says it will pay $65,000 to guarantee proper deletion.
8:44 right now, time to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. Turns out artificial intelligence may be learning things we didn't intend to teach it. Now researchers are sounding the alarm.
AI researchers recently discovered a troubling new phenomenon called subliminal learning. Let's connect the dots. Subliminal learning happens when AI learns hidden behaviors from other AI without any obvious triggers or prompts from humans. Somehow, it's learning dangerous traits like being manipulative, deceptive, or even suggesting violence, even though it never encountered such content in its training. The behaviors transmitted through subtle statistical patterns, not by blatant messages, and they slip past safety filters. These findings challenge current AI safety methods like content filtering and model distillation. It shows we need deeper, more robust safeguards, systems that can detect and stop hidden behavioral biases before they get passed on to new AI models. And that is connecting the dots.
So it turns out AI might have a mind of its own.
Oh, we've been saying this.
I know, for a while. Oops. All right, 8:45, we're back in 2 minutes right here on WCNC Plus.
Stargazers, get your binoculars ready for this. Starting tonight, you'll be able to catch a glimpse of the August full moon or the sturgeon moon. Earth Sky says it will be at its fullest around 3:55 a.m. Saturday. So anyone looking that will be up, will see it, whether they live in the city or the suburbs. And if getting up in the wee hours isn't your thing, no worries. A NASA scientist says it will appear to be full for a few days. So why is it called the sturgeon moon? It's because it marks the time of year when sturgeon fish are most readily caught. Indigenous tribes living primarily in Canada refer to the lunar as the flying up moon, the time of year when young birds are learning to fly. Those living in the northern Great Plains call it the black cherries moon to mark when cherries become ripe.
How about that?
Very interesting.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Let's bring in Chris.
With the sturgeon behind him.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't get to feature sturgeon too often, so
You don't.
I'm just really going to cherish this moment. It's a scary looking fish, very bony as well, but hey, sturgeon moon, especially around the Great Lakes is where they're caught, and that's where the name originates. But get out of here, sturgeon fish. Let's talk more about the moon. We already mentioned the 3:55 is the peak fullness, and that is tonight, August 9th. Heading into tomorrow morning. And then the peak viewing is really between about midnight and 4, even though it's not until the end of that window that it's technically 100% full, but we don't notice the difference. And then the moon sets at 6:45. Officially going to be rising up, though, around at 8:16. So it's the full sturgeon moon tonight in tonight's sky. We're also breaking the clouds a little bit, so a better chance to see it. But I do think once you get a little bit closer to about that 4 to 6, it's also a reason why I have that best viewing. We start to see more clouds move back in and even a chance for a little bit of rain. So right now it's not a great start to the day, but look at this. Here's the optimist in me. I know it doesn't look good, but look really closely. That's a little bit of yellow. Yeah, that's not all gray. Now, Charlotte's all gray, and Boone has a brighter white, but we are heading in a good direction. It's 1 degree warmer because of that stint of yellow off in the distance. So I do think that we'll have a brighter overcast by the end of the morning, and then even some spots of blue. Now, it might seem like I'm being a crazy optimist, especially when you have scenes like this where you can't even see the Queen City, but trust me, things will get better. Now, as far as the rain goes, it's going to be a little bit. Now, this morning, it's not widespread. We're seeing spotty areas of sprinkles, drizzle, or a light rain shower. This one even here in Cabarrus County, we're on the border of Rowan County, a little bit heftier and heavier. Those are going to linger into the early afternoon. So as long as you have this pattern, that's that cold air damming that's just dragging in some of that cooler air out of the northeast with that moisture driving into it, we're going to be stuck into this pattern. But watch what happens. That high pressure system, poof, gone like Houdini. Meanwhile, this other one off towards the east is going to clear its way off towards the east and really stretch us in between. By tomorrow morning, you're expecting on and off showers, but then watch. Once you get to your Saturday afternoon, we don't have a lot going on. Mixed cloud and sunshine, at times more clouds than sun. But for Sunday morning, we have scattered rain, I think very similar to what we had this morning. Not the prettiest day. And look at Sunday afternoon. Widespread showers, thunderstorms, heavy at times, where you could have several hours of rain depending where you are. So that's why Saturday is my pick of the weekend. That's the day to get outside and enjoy it, even though it will be cloudy at times. Chance for storms on Monday, and then after that, on the way up back to 90 degrees, which, by the way, is where we should be. We just haven't been anywhere near that since we started the new month of August. Let's get over to Majestic one more time to look at our morning commute here on WCNC+.
Good morning, everyone. Well, here we go. Live camera look. This is I-77. Cloudy skies, but at least we are not dealing with heavy and widespread rain this morning and hoping for a little bit of sunshine this afternoon. Big picture perspective as we switch it over to our live traffic map. Not seeing any significant slowdowns. A lot of green across the area. But as we bring it back home, we still have our fair share of problems across the area roads. Let's start with this one here as we zoom it in. This is still not cleared. It's a crash on Andover Woods Drive and Sharon Lakes Road. Seeing some minimal impacts with that, but just to the north, this stalled vehicle, it's still there, not cleared, and it's backing people up a little bit, but I think the car's over on the shoulder at this point. It's on the Brookshire Freeway, so keep this in mind. As we're heading north, though, this one here, you see the red? This is the entry ramp onto I-77 from I-85 southbound. There is one lane that's currently blocked because of that crash. It's not a completely blocked off road. You can still get through, just going to slow you down. So allow for a few extra minutes if you typically drive that way. And then this right here, it's a right lane that's also blocked because of a crash. You can see the colors popping up right here. It's on Albemarle Road outbound. So we'll keep a close eye on everything for you for your Friday morning commute. But for now, Ben, that's what I'm watching.
Majestic, thanks. Students in South Carolina wrapping up now their first week of class today.
As they head to and from the classroom, we verify some of the rules about school buses in order to keep everyone safe. Our source is South Carolina law, federal law, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. First, what are the rules around seatbelts? In South Carolina, buses are not required to have seatbelts. Federal law also does not require seatbelts on school buses. The NHTSA cautions against retrofitting older buses with seatbelts, stating it's not safe to add them to existing vehicles. Next, what are the rules for stopping for buses? South Carolina says if you are on a 2-lane road, everyone needs to stop, regardless of whether you approach from the back or the front of the bus. You must remain stopped the entire time that flashing stop sign is extended. However, on a 4-lane road or multi-lane highway in South Carolina, you only have to stop when traveling in the same direction of the bus. And finally, what is a danger zone? When a bus is stopped, the danger zone extends 10 feet from the front, back, and each side of the bus. No one should ever enter this zone because the bus driver can't see you. Kids should walk up to the bus straight from where the door is. If you want something verified, just email me at verify@wcnc.com. And hey, don't forget, we're partnering with United Way for our own back-to-school supply drive, so you can help students who begin the school year without necessary supplies. You can scan the QR code on your screen to donate or go to our website, wcnc.com/community. You can donate until August 11th.
It's cloudy, damp. We have some rain from place to place, but things will get better. Temperatures have barely moved over the last few hours, but they'll start to slowly climb up into the lower 70s. And then our final destination is the upper 70s today. On and off rain, but by the end of the afternoon, fingers crossed, something doesn't go astray, but we should have a much brighter end of the day, some blue sky. And then by tomorrow, we have a slight chance for some morning fog and a little bit of rain, mix of cloud and sunshine, but a much better chance for rain come Sunday, especially in the afternoon heading in the evening. Chance for storms on Monday. And hey, look at that, 90 degrees again on Thursday. Majestic, what's going on?
Good Friday morning, everyone. Area roadways are looking all right, starting to become a little busier now that people are really starting their Friday. Overcast, but you can tell all those heavy rain showers have moved out of our area. I do want to let you know about one big accident that's slowing people down this morning. It's right here. There's that big backup. It's the entry ramp on I-77 from I-85 southbound. One lane is blocked because of a crash, so you can still get through it. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. Hope you have a safe drive for your Friday morning.